Okay, welcome back to another hashtag Real Talk. This is where we bring you inspiring, motivating and empowering content that take your life to the next level. Our key things on these podcasts is to bring you real issues that affect real people and bring you real solutions. Now, one of the things that I wanted to do and talk about is something that I've really struggled with the whole of my life, well, since it was diagnosed, is dyslexia. And there's a lot of you struggling with this, and I hear more and more people talk about dyslexia, how it's holding them back. And I really wanted to obviously spend some time really talking about it. And what's really crazy, I met a good friend, Gail Muirhead, I got it right this time on this podcast. And we just started talking about having a common interest in dyslexia. And actually she was diagnosed with dyslexia, and she'll tell you her story in a moment, but has been able to achieve great things. Now, the one thing, if you haven't seen, there was a great podcast as well about her property investment journey. So the reason I say that on this podcast, it shows you that your dyslexia, about to say dementia there, your dyslexia doesn't hold you back. It's something that, Gail will talk about, actually can propel you forward. So this is very much for anyone who's struggling with, not just with dyslexia, but anything that you feel is holding you back, that makes you a little bit different. It can actually be the catalyst for your success. So let's get into this. So Gail, thank you again. Okay, our second podcast with yourself. Now, we're going to talk about dyslexia, and you've got a website, you've got a YouTube channel, some really good content on the YouTube channel. One video I love in particular about becoming a millionaire, okay, which is something that I'm desiring to do. So that resonated with me.
You're on your way.
Yeah, that's it. So tell me, first of all, on your journey, when did you find out about that you had dyslexia? And then obviously we can talk about how that then transpired in your career, things like that, but also it's led you now to wanting to set up a business or an organisation around it. So when did you find out that you had dyslexia?
So I realised when I was doing my A-levels, because it became apparent that I didn't understand what was going on in class.
What is this?
Because when you're doing your GCSEs, you're in a class of about 30, so you can hide very easily and no one really knows what you're thinking, what you're doing. But when you're in a class of 3, as it was in my A-levels, it's very apparent when you don't understand what's going on.
So did you, when you were younger, did you not, because I know for myself, I really struggled with spelling, I struggled with grammar, and I worked really hard, and we talked off mic a minute ago, and I really struggled with those things. So how did you get through like your GCSEs and things like that, and it not being apparent, or would you just work that little bit harder, or what was it that got you through?
It's about being good at problem solving, and you have to be quite quick. So I was quite good at hiding my dyslexia from people. For example, in maths class, I was in one of the top sets in maths. But I couldn't do maths. So everyone else could add up really easily, and I couldn't. I don't know how I ended up in it.
Wow.
And they used to play a horrible game called Fizz Buzz, which was you'd have to go round the class. So you go like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then if it divided by 7, you'd say fizz, and if it divided by 5, you'd say buzz.
I would hate that. I'm like, I don't know.
So the whole class stands up, and then you have to play this game. And I'm thinking, I'm here with all these people that can do maths. I didn't know my times tables. However, I was always one of the last ones, so I almost nearly won. Wow, that's incredible. Because what I used to do was I'd figure out what my number was, and then I'd have my hands behind my back, like working it out really quickly. So by the time it got to me, I knew the answer, but no one else seemed to be doing that. So it was only when I got to the last 4 that I couldn't do the hands between the back, figuring it out, because I didn't have enough time. So it's interesting that I was the worst one at maths in that entire room, and I'd normally be in the last 4.
That's incredible.
But I think that shows something about dyslexic problem solving. Normally we're quite good at problem solving.
No, 100%. I definitely see that. Now, for anyone listening to this and they think, okay, dyslexia, I think I know what it means, but I think it's quite wide in terms of how it can affect people. You being like more of an expert than me, things like, what is dyslexia? How would you classify that for anyone listening to this podcast or watching this on Gen Hub TV? What is dyslexia, and how does it affect an individual?
Like, everyone is a little bit different, so it will present quite differently in different people. But by and large, it's a set of strengths and weaknesses, because your brain is wired a bit differently to how other people's is. So things like spelling are hard, maths,
Yes. I'm just ticking that. Yeah, that's
maths.
me. Yeah.
Organisation.
Yes.
Yeah. Managing your time, losing track of time.
Oh my gosh, this is me.
Quite typical.
Just in case I was struggling, if do I actually have this? Yes, I do. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's all those things that are very difficult.
Yeah.
But on the positive, there's lots of other strengths like being creative, being quite visual, being able to see the way lots of different things connect.
Yeah.
And being able to think about how that will affect the future. So like see outcomes in the future, which people who are not dyslexic find that difficult.
And it's so funny because you say that, because everyone always focuses on the negatives. Whenever you talk about dyslexia, it's I can't spell. I'm no good with numbers, and you very rarely hear people embracing it. And I think that's the one thing I'd really want to get out of this podcast, that anyone who has dyslexia starts saying to themselves, actually, I'm gifted. Yeah. This is actually a gift from God. It's not a curse. Yeah. And I used to treat it like that. I was like, oh my gosh, I can't spell. Look, Grammarly is amazing. So you don't have to worry about that now. So highlight some of those, because I think what you talked about, the problem solving. Is really key. Creativity, visualization. Yeah. What was the other one that you mentioned? I think there was 4.
About understanding how things are going to play out in the future.
Yeah, so understanding how things are going to... So all of those things are incredible gifts for leaders in any organisation. And you mentioned one of the videos, I mentioned one of the videos that you have on your website or on your YouTube channel. And what's your YouTube channel for anyone who's curious now, saying actually, what is this YouTube channel?
Dyslexia Mountain.
Dyslexia. Why that name? Why Dyslexia Mountain?
Because it's like, sometimes having dyslexia, you have to work harder than other people. Yeah. So it's like climbing a mountain, but actually when you get to the top, it's worth it. It's worth it. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. So on there, you've got some incredible videos, and one of the ones was about being a millionaire. What made you do that video? What was it about that video that you said, actually, the reason I want to create this? Because I think it's true. If you look at all those characteristics, those are the characteristics of highly successful people. Yeah. Like highly successful people. Was that what you wanted to get across, or?
Yeah, I wanted to just help people that were struggling with some of the difficulties, and to realise that it's got so many positive things. Yeah. Because when you realise what the positive things are, it helps you not worry so much about the stuff that you struggle with.
Yeah. And I think if someone in school could tell a child that, I know you may have dyslexia, but actually it's a really good thing. Yeah. Because this is what you're going to be good at, and these tend to be the traits of highly successful people. Yeah. And you have that. You'd be able to walk around like a peacock. Yeah. Look at me, I've got dyslexia. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Here I am. Yeah. Okay. So obviously in your journey then, so you were diagnosed in A levels and things like that. Did you embrace it when you first found out, or was there a sense of relief for you when you first found out, to say, actually, I've struggled with this and I knew there was something different? Was it a relief for your parents as well?
I don't think anyone was surprised.
Oh, was that? I knew it. Yeah.
It kind of felt like it was quite obvious anyway. I don't know, a lot of people say they do feel relieved. At the time it was quite frustrating because I was in school, I didn't know what was going on. It was quite hard, but it did enable me to think, okay, how do I problem solve my way out of this? Yeah. How do I still pass my A levels? And I realised that I actually...
Did you, by the way?
Yes. Yeah.
You're such a genius.
It was the last minute, to be honest, because I ended up teaching myself, and I figured out that I can learn myself.
Yeah. You told me an interesting story when we was off camera. And you mentioned that you got to, I don't know if it was school or college, where you said you actually took yourself out of the traditional school system of sitting in the class and put yourself in the library. Just want to tell us a story, because I think that's quite a bold move. Yeah. And this may encourage someone who's listening to this video that you may have to do something like this to get ahead. So I think that's a great story. So can you share a little bit about that?
Yes, it's not that you struggle learning, it's that dyslexics learn differently.
Oh, sorry, that's a good point.
Being taught at school, they teach how other people learn. They don't teach how you learn. Yeah. So I figured out how I learn, and actually I am very capable of learning, but not how everyone else learns. So I took myself out of the classroom with their permission. Yeah. And studied. I
did wonder that when you said that. I thought you just walked out. What did your parents say? I was like all concerned. I was like,
did ask.
Yeah, walked out.
And I realised actually with a book I can teach myself, and it actually worked a lot better because I could learn in my own way.
Yeah. Okay. And the great thing is that you've gone on not only to do your A levels, but you've gone right to the top of the tree and you actually got a master's as well.
Yeah.
Okay, what was your master's was in?
Assistive technology.
Hello. That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
but you also did your dissertation.
I did. On occupational therapist with dyslexia.
Right, so why did you choose that? What was that?
Because lots of OTs are dyslexic, so there's certain careers that dyslexic people tend to gravitate towards because it plays to their strength.
Oh, okay.
OTs, there's a lot of dyslexic OTs,
Yeah.
social workers as well, and architects and engineers, really typical, as well as business.
Wow.
Loads
Why is that
of
then?
dyslexic people.
Like, obviously I'm in business, so I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm in the right field, I'm fulfilling my calling. So why, when you did your studies or your dissertation, why is that we tend to gravitate to those type of? I've got a theory, just listening to you, but what did the research say? Why do we gravitate to those types of positions?
So those careers all involve quite a high level of problem solving.
Oh, okay.
Which we're good at.
Yeah.
And also visual, creative aspects, which are needed. And I'm just thinking, what else?
Because it does seem like when you look at things like that, there's a lot of talk at the moment about EQ, emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
Do you find that being dyslexic allows you to focus more on that, and more on the problem solving and things like that, rather than because you may not advance in the traditional school setting. I know I didn't.
Yeah.
I went to university, but I only did a HND. I couldn't grasp education. But now I've come out, I've got people who have got master's degrees and things like that who work for me.
Yeah.
Who work for me. So obviously we changed our company recently. It was interesting that in school I was a failure, but then came into business I was a success. And people who had the education were now working for me.
Yeah.
Which was crazy. Do you find that we tend to be more focused or stronger in our EQ than our IQ, or actually we tend to have a good strength in both?
I think it's that real world skill.
Yeah.
Because school doesn't really prepare you for the real world.
Yeah, not
that
so
much.
Yeah.
Because school is a lot of it's about learning stuff, repeating stuff, memory.
Yeah.
It's not about understanding things and applying them.
Yeah.
Which is what dyslexics are good at, really understanding it. But maybe the memory side of things when you're dyslexic isn't great.
Yeah.
We
Mine's
have to
not great.
understand stuff.
Yeah.
And so school doesn't really play to our strengths, but the real world does.
I love that.
Yeah.
That is a power. I've never heard of anyone look at it like that. So the real world, when you put yourself in the real world, so anyone, especially not if you're listening to this podcast and you've got a child who's got dyslexia and they're thinking, I just want to be good at school.
Yeah.
It's like, don't worry, school is
it.
it's only a short period of life, but the big life is in the world, and the skill sets that you've got as a dyslexic are actually going to serve you really well.
Absolutely.
Really, really well.
Yeah.
I love something that you said earlier. I loved it. And you said being dyslexic allows you not to be perfect.
Yep.
And get rid of that stigma.
Yeah.
Do you want to explain that? I thought that was beautiful. I thought that is so true. It was to share that, because I think so many people, if they can grasp that, it will set them free. So just explain a little bit more about what you said. Being dyslexic allowed you to not worry about being perfect.
Yeah. I think having a positive attitude towards failure is what's allowed many people to succeed. So if you look at all the successful people out there, they have failed multiple times.
Yeah.
And they've carried on and they haven't let failure get to them.
Yeah.
And as a dyslexic, you get used to failing really early.
Yes.
Because you're at school and you're just like a fish out of water. So you just learn to deal with it and to be okay with it. Whereas other people have got an opportunity to try and be perfect.
And get the A stars.
Whereas if you're dyslexic, you're just not going to ever achieve that. So you get used to being okay with that and having a sense of humour.
And it's so, I love what you said, because that's, it's only now talking to you, on reflection, I've looked at my school life, is I was always failing, but you had to turn up the next day. School's not something you can run away from. So actually, he taught me this whole thing of failing and standing and getting back in it and still trying and still trying. I think that's a great trait.
Yeah.
That is a life trait. Grit.
Have you seen the research on grit?
No, I haven't. Go on, tell us now. You got to share now. You can't tease us with that. So what's this?
It's worth looking up. There's a lot of research on grit, and that's what helps most people succeed.
Yeah.
Is you just got to have that tenacity. You've got to keep going.
Yeah.
And that is not normally about skill.
Yeah.
It's about grit and determination and keep going day after day. Like you said, when you're dyslexic, you learn that from a very early age.
100%. And I tell you what, there's so many byproducts by being dyslexic, that you're actually taking on, life skills that you're taking on, that at school. And once again, you know, if you're a parent, please get your young one to listen to this. I think it's really valuable. That you may be at school and feeling like I'm such a failure, but actually you're learning, once again, great life qualities. Grit, you know, is one of the things that you need in a marriage, one of the things you need in business, one of the things you need in, if you're going to be successful at anything, an entrepreneur, a career, you need grit. That's a, you know, I love that. I'm going to have to go away and do my research on that now. So, because obviously what I loved about your story as well is that obviously you're an investor, you know, you got a master's, you've got a good career, so you've shown grit, you know. Did you realise all those things were being formed at the time, or was it only now on reflection?
Yeah, not at the time.
Oh, okay.
I hated every minute of being at school.
I felt your pain. I was like, I gotta get out of here. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, and I remember somebody saying to me, "The school's the best years of your life."
Yeah.
You heard that phrase?
Yeah, 100%. I was like, not for me.
I really hope not. I remember thinking this is so depressing. But it's not true.
Yeah, that's it. The best time of your life is still to come, especially if you're dyslexic.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely.
You know, so you're not going to have red marks all over your life. You can actually have some green ticks. Done well in business, done well in that, investing, in your career and stuff like that.
And it's a great time to be dyslexic. I'm really glad I was born now.
Yeah.
Because now we've got the technology.
Grammarly.
Yeah. Google, all of that. So actually, if you can't spell now, who cares? There's technology that can do all the stuff we struggle with. Yeah. Technology can do it. But actually, when you think about the future and jobs, that computers can do all those other things now.
That was your weakness.
Where we're going is things that robots can't do.
Yeah.
Which is creative.
Love that.
Thinking, problem solving. Yeah. So it's all of our strengths.
Look at this, we're coming into our own.
Yeah,
we're going to create like a whole cult. It's we're coming after you, world.
Yeah.
That's the now dyslexic movement.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's a really good point that you made there, that actually, because, you know, you're in a career where you're writing reports all the time.
Yeah.
You know, did that not have a fear for you? Because I know, like, you know, running a business, I had like 30 staff. And you send out corporate emails, we have proposals to other organisations, I was dealing with senior people, and I had all these fears around, oh my gosh, my grammar, my spelling, and things like that. And I know how I addressed it. But how did you go into a organisation or into a role that requires you to write reports and be somewhat good at grammar, at spelling, and things like that? Did you have that fear? Or how did you overcome that type of fear? Or did you have
I'm just used to being scared of stuff, so it didn't feel any different.
Okay, just do it anyway.
I've kind of done that my whole life. So you just got to crack on and have a sense of humour and be honest.
Yeah,
I think
love that.
It makes you approachable if you've got something. If you're struggling with something and you're happy to tell somebody else, then other people are happy not to be perfect as well.
Yeah, that's it. It allows them to say, actually, that person's been really honest. Let me be honest.
Yeah.
And I remember, I'll never forget, I remember being, we had a team event and you're standing at the front and got this whiteboard and you're writing I had this fear. I was like, oh my gosh. And I had the word Lamborghini.
Oh.
I was like, okay. So I said to everybody right there, a moment of vulnerability. I'm going to try and spell Lamborghini, and I'm dyslexic, okay? So what happens was, obviously, when I spelled it, it didn't spell Lamborghini. I don't know what it spelled. It definitely didn't spell Lamborghini. Yeah. But I remember everyone it became like this great icebreaker in the team. So I found it funny, they found it funny.
Yeah.
And everyone just embraced it. And they said, no, Denzel, the way you spell it is... So actually, what I learned in that scenario was... after that, there was other words that would come up that I knew I couldn't spell. And I would say to, you know, at the time it was Norrick, who was super educated and he spoke like this. And he was like, Denzel, the way you spell Lamborghini. And I would say to him, how do you spell this? And he'd be like, well, the way you spell it. So I learned how to delegate. I was like, I'm not good at that, delegate it out. I can't write reports, delegate it out. I've got a proposal, delegate it out. And things like that. Do you do quite a bit of that? Do you find that you're delegating out things that you're not strong at because of your dyslexia? Fantastic.
But it's a good skill to have in business, isn't it? You need to be able to delegate, and delegating well is quite a skill.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you can delegate badly and you can delegate well.
Yeah.
And so you learn it from an early age, getting to people to help you.
That's it. Can you do this for me, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
And, you know, so we know what dyslexia is. You know, we talked about how you can overcome some of the struggles, but also what the strengths are about being dyslexic. Now, obviously, you know, we talked about in our other podcast where we talked about you investing, you said you really want to build this organisation to help more and more people. And you have a website that people can have a look at. So we talked about your YouTube channel. What's the website for anyone who's listening to this?
It's called The Abundant Dyslexic.
The Abundant, what a phrase, I love that. Okay, wait, tell us about the name. Tell us about, you talked about the YouTube name. Why that name, The Abundant Dyslexic?
Because it's about seeing the positive, isn't it? And it's about how do you use your dyslexia for good, and how does it enhance your life? What does it give you?
Excellent. So is that all the things that I can then find on your, so what kind of things can we find on your website when we...
So I've got a section for kids.
Yeah.
Which is very much the sort of thing we were talking about. Actually, school might be really hard, but don't worry, you'll be fine.
Yeah, excellent.
And it's got some really encouraging resources on there. It's got a bit about what is dyslexia and some free downloads on the strengths and weaknesses.
Excellent. I'm going to have to download myself. I'm going to print out all the strengths.
Have a look. Yeah.
This is what makes me amazing. I'm going to wake up and say that to myself every morning.
Yeah.
Okay. So what is there any, as we close off this podcast, is there any advice that you would give? One, to parents, first of all, if you're worried or if there's telltale signs for them to look out for, if your kid is struggling, is there anything that they could be looking at? And then if they have got an inclination that maybe their child's dyslexic, how can they get tested and things like that? Is there any way that we can point them to?
Yeah, so if the kid's at school, I think go to the school first and then ask if they can get a route to get tested. And it is worth getting tested, I would say. Because once you know that you're dyslexic, then you can start looking up all the techniques, and there's just so much you can do to make your life easier. Brilliant.
Okay, so to get tested at school. For anyone who's, once again, still has this stigma, okay, what would be that thing that you would leave with them to say? You know, I've been so blessed by this. You know, it's a topic I wasn't thinking about talking about, but we started conversating, and I was like, wow, actually, even this podcast, I'm like, wow, actually my dyslexia is a gift. I really see this as a gift from God now, where before, I'll be honest, I didn't see it as a gift. But the way that you've explained things. But what's the one nugget that you give to anyone who's struggling with dyslexia, or the stigma of having dyslexia, who's listening to this podcast now? What's that one thing that you'd leave with them?
I'd say trust that you can overcome the difficulties and that you can figure stuff out. Yeah. And play to your strengths.
Fantastic. Yeah. What an amazing podcast. Thank you that's 2 great podcasts. I think we're going to have to bring you on again. I don't know what for this time, but we will bring you on. Okay, so once again, if you've been listening to the podcast or watching this on Gen Hope TV, dyslexia is a gift from God. I truly believe that now. Some of the key skills, you know, Gail mentioned something which was truly profound, is that where the world's going, technology can do all the things that you're weak at, but the things that you're strong at, the world can never replicate through a machine or through computers. So your gifts are going to be more sought after now than ever before. So embrace what you have. Embrace your dyslexia and the gift that you've got. Don't look at it as something that's holding you back. If you look at Gail, she's been able to become a property investor. She lives in the most beautiful home that I'm envious of. Believe me, I see a lot of homes. I love her home. She's done well in her career. She's got a master's degree. It's the only thing that you don't have. She's just blessed. Do you know, she has a spa down the road. She's living heaven on earth, okay? Right? So this is someone who had dyslexia and struggled at school. But look at what she's been able to achieve. And what she's trying to say to you is that she's not unique. You can also go out there and do the same thing. So I truly believe today, you know, our motto is that we want to inspire, we want to motivate, and we want to empower. And I definitely believe this has probably been one of our best podcasts for doing all 3 of those things. So God bless you. Remember, please, you know, if this has touched you in any way, please leave your comments below. Love to see how this has helped somebody or blessed somebody. But also subscribe on iTunes, on SoundCloud, on #RealTalk. But also go onto YouTube and look out for Gen Hope TV, where you have all these podcasts coming out Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So God bless you and see you soon. Bye-bye.